Aloha, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Aloha IRL podcast with myself, Lord MK, and joining me once again for episode 2 is Alfie Ollie. Say hi, Alfie.
Aloha, everyone. It is good to be back after a unexpected week break.
Yeah, no, it was very unexpected. Having jobs and having lives. I know, shocker, right? Is always difficult when managing things like podcasts, league racing, and everything. But we are back, so we only missed out for 1 week, and I think it was a well-deserved week break. We had a lot going on, and we've got a lot to talk about for this week as well, haven't we, Alfie?
Yeah, obviously, since the last podcast, there have been big money moves, two PS Div 1 races, and the long-awaited debut of IRL PC Tier 1 as well, also made their debut between this and the last podcast at Japan, I believe. So, very exciting things.
Yeah, no, like you say, it's been incredible the amount of support that we've got from people and the amount of attention to detail that we've paid to this league. And we never thought the league would get anywhere near this big. When I took charge, it's just been a complete roller coaster, and we're continuing it. It seems to go really well. The PS side of things is going really, really, really smoothly. We're looking to open a second tier. We just need a few more drivers for that because we've got 50 sign-ups, which is enough to start the league. But we want consistent reserves as well. We want to bolster the numbers before committing to a second division, because obviously with more divisions comes more time, more work, and more effort, and we need more people. So it is one of them things where things are being put in place, but everything's going very well. But is there anything we want to discuss first, Alfie, before we get on to our first topic?
Well, I'm a bit in the blank of what the topics are, and I don't want to say what one of your topics are, but there have been a few developments with FP. If you'd like to start with that, or
Yeah, we'll go.
up to you.
We'll go for the FP. We'll go for the FP thing. So, as people may know, and as people may not know, FP stands for Formula Performance. So, Formula Performance is a league based on realistic cars, and obviously based on your individual skill on the F1 game. You are allocated a car in regards to the skill level. So, say for example, like myself, I'm not the greatest. I'm a bit mid, so I'd probably get something like an Alpine or a McLaren. Whereas Alpha, you're a bit better than me, so you'd probably get something like I don't know, AlphaTauri or Haas along them lines. And then if you're looking at someone like Lewis Curtis, who's leading the FPS F1 Championship, he would get something like the Williams, which is very fitting. Or what's the worst car in this game? Sorry, it is the AlphaTauri.
The
Sorry, I think I got them.
AlphaTauri is the worst. Yeah.
Sorry, I got them muddled up. You would have the Williams, he would have the AlphaTauri.
Yeah. After many years of Williams at the back, they have upgraded to 8 or something on this game, so they're getting nosebleeds up there.
Yeah, Williams are one of them teams where I'm actually quite happy to see them at least scoring points. I think you need a team as distinguished as Williams in real F1 to sort of, bring the numbers, the brand names, and to carry on the history and the legacy as well. Ferrari and McLaren are just off the top, and I think everybody's a bit sick of Red Bull and Mercedes at this point as well. So.
Ooh.
Well, I am anyway. I know I am personally, but no, just going on to FP. For everybody who doesn't know, in regards to FP, we have started an FP League sign-up probably a couple of weeks ago, and we were looking to see how the numbers would do. We've nearly got a full grid for it, but we're just lacking them extra numbers for FP. So what we've decided to do, there will be an announcement on the Twitter, probably tomorrow, because it's a bit late today, or Monday. We are changing FP. So...
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. It's exciting, actually. It's really exciting.
Podcast exclusive.
There's many podcast exclusives today. It's going to be the episode of exclusives. But in terms of FP, the changes we've made are we're going to be doing a World Cup series. So people are going to be wondering, what's the World Cup series? What are the in-depth details? And so on and so forth. So what I'll do is I'll generalize it for everybody now. So we have a record of it on the podcast, whoever watches this or watches it back. And then there'll be information on the forum, or the Discord, sorry. And then obviously on the Twitter, we'll be posting about it as well. So you can gather all this information on F1_IRL on the Twitter or on the IRL Discord. If you need a link to the IRL Discord, go onto our Twitter. There is a link as a pinned tweet at the top, or a pinned post as it's known now, because obviously it's X, isn't it, not Twitter. And from there, we can explore the new World Cup series. So you don't know anything about the World Cup series, do you, Alfie?
No, I am a casual when it comes to that.
All right, I'll explain the sort of rules and everything for the World Cup series. So the general basis of it is it's going to be a constructor-based championship. So it's going to be equal cars for everybody. We're unsure whether to do player cars or realistic cars in terms of the looks, so using Ferrari, Williams, McLaren, etc., or if we use the player cars. And the idea is people would adopt the same livery for the same team, and they'd have an allocated colour to model their livery off, which I think is a pretty good idea. But we'll see what the public says, because here at IRL we like to put everything to the table and explain to everybody what they want and do what the public wants. That's what we're here for. We're here for fun and enjoyment, and we just want to race, to be honest. We're not as sweaty as some of the leagues out there anyway. The main premise of it is we're going to probably split it up. This is still undecided yet, but we're probably going to split it up into continents based. So we'll have an Asian series, we'll have a European series, and we'll have an American, and then maybe South American. If there's enough tracks, we'll try and split it that way. And essentially what's going to happen is you will compete in these World Cups. You get to pick your team, you get to pick your team name, you get to pick your team liveries, your team colour, and you literally score points for the team. Points will be awarded, yet to be determined, of course. We're going to do, obviously, a new point system for that. You can allocate points to people who finish first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and so on and so forth. And then these points will go into the championship. And then at the end of the championship, the person or people with the highest amount of points at the end of the championship, I know it sounds really basic the way I'm explaining it, they will win as a collective. So they will be the World Cup champions. And it also gives people to practice tracks that maybe they're not so good at. I think, obviously, in terms of F1, we need drivers to be on point. I don't want people in F1 turning up 5 minutes before they've not played the game in 2 weeks and they're a bit rusty. You need a bit of that practice to loosen up, get the gears flowing, and to really, even myself, I don't get to play the game a lot. I probably play the game once a week, but at least it's something to build upon a track. So we're allowing people to obviously have a bit of experience on every track in the game, which I think is really, really good for the development of people in F1, people who want to get better, who want to practice. But it's not mandatory, so it's a bit of fun. We want people to enjoy themselves. We want people to just get on with things, and we really, really want people to just enjoy F1 for the game. There's a lot of sweaty league racing, Alfie, as you know yourself, and it's just nice to kick back a bit and actually enjoy the game for being a fun racing experience instead of a sweaty sim.
Yeah, obviously, you can't be sweating all the time, otherwise you'll have no sweat left. So you need, some rest to recharge the sweat. And I think, it can also be a good place to relax, because especially as you see in like esports and that, people get very hot under the collar. Even in IRL, not esports level anyway, people get very vexed and angry. So it's nice to maybe have a bit of a relaxation period, which was what we were hoping FP could have been, but this evolution can hopefully fill the void that we wanted FP to fill.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And FP was always planned to be the fun division, and I want to keep that. But we're here for new and fresh ideas. I want people to join the Discord and DM me personally about ideas to do with the league. It doesn't matter if you're a driver, it doesn't matter if you're a spectator, or whether you're an admin, a steward, anything. Message myself about ideas to do with IRL, and we can get you involved. We've got so many ideas coming through my head and through the IRL system that we've got in the pipeline. We just need people, and we just need committed individuals who will support us with it, because as much as I love being involved in everything, it's a lot of work for me, running the leagues, doing the admin side of things. Obviously, I don't do everything myself. I've got to give credit to the likes of Little Blocks, Louis Welch, Lewis Curtis and Gobo especially, who have been really exceptional recently. But it's difficult when you start a new idea and you try and put it forward, because you need the support from others, Alfie.
Yeah, you do, and my idea of replacing all the stewards for myself hasn't quite got the traction yet to take off. But hopefully one day we will get the grip.
Yeah, hopefully. I think, maybe when you're not in the steward's room as much, we can maybe consider yourself being a steward. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea. Get you more involved. I know you've been frothing in the mouth for a bit of a added role in the IRL. So it's just trying to find what suits you.
Yeah, it's like going to the shops, M&S, trying to find there's not a one size fits all. There's different sizes, different roles for different people.
Yeah,
We're
no.
a society.
We're a society. We're a racing league to start with, but I have a few more announcements, and I've done a lovely little segue there into our second section, which is the GT7 League, Alfie. I don't know if you saw the announcement.
No.
Right, okay. So it's going to be a lot of me talking this podcast, guys. So bear in mind, I don't know if I've got the best voice for this, but bear with. Really getting the oxygen in the lungs for this. So GT7, we've played it. I've very much enjoyed the game. I think it's a lot of people were a bit hit and miss from GT Sport, but I think it's a step up personally. I didn't play too much GT Sport though, so I'm probably not the best person to comment. I've had certain people in my DMs really looking forward to GT7 being included back into IRL because we had it originally in GT Sport and it did quite well, and it brings back returning drivers, which is something that I'm looking to do because the old community still has a very fond place within IRL, and these people build the legacy of the league, so I'd like to welcome them back. But in terms of GT7 and the terms of things, it's in very, very early stages. So it's technically just an idea at the minute. It's been put forward on the Twitter, so it's been approved, it's been accepted by people, and we want to try and push GT7 as a division. Normally with GT7, we do GR3 cars. I think that they're the spec series that people want to race the most, but the options are limitless when it comes to that game. We've got like Renault Clios that we could race and do a series for. We've got Bugatti Veyrons. We've got old classic F1 cars. We've got modern. I think it's Formula. What's the
Super
Formula cars?
Formula.
That's it. Super Formula cars in there that people are heavily interested in as well. So the options are limitless. If we could build a GT7 tier, I would be very happy, and I would be participating. So. Hope to see myself out on track in whatever car. I imagine it will be the touring cars that people want to do the most, but we'll see. We will see. I don't know about you, Alfie, but would you be interested in something like that?
Yeah, obviously, we've played quite a lot of GT7. I have to think of which game it was there. GT7. We played quite.
Played it that much, you forgot.
Yeah. I'm a very adventurous person when it comes to GT7, so maybe get a bit jazzy with the car selections. That's the good thing about GT7. There's a wide array of cars, so a lot of mix and match that we can do, and hopefully we can expand even further. Maybe get the Wreckfest league going. I think that will be where I belong.
I mean, yeah, you've pretty much turned the PS League into the Wreckfest, haven't you, with all the stupid incidents? But no, I'm joking. I'm gonna laugh, but. No, Alfie's right, where GT7, there's so many possibilities and so many opportunities for people to be involved. Like I put a tweet out a couple of weeks ago, asking for admins and stewards, people that are interested in joining IRL for roles. And we've had the likes of Marlo, who's joined us in the stewards box, who's been active. He's been really, really good, and he's been offering his opinions to every incident. And trust me, there's a fair few when you've got multiple leagues to attend to, as certain stewards might know from different leagues. And also the admin Gobo, which moves me on quite nicely to the next point as well. I'd like to just congratulate him on moving to PC F1 admin. He previously was going to be a backup, so he was originally going to be, if we had a second tier for PC, he was going to be like the F2 involver and he was going to run it. But I decided that he's been so much involved. He's worked really hard behind the scenes. He deserved the chance to run F1 with Louis. So starting from next week, he will support Louis Welch in the Formula One PC division, which is congratulations to him.
Very, exciting stuff. Getting more people involved makes it obviously easier for everyone. Less workload on one person, which I'm sure you know a lot about. A lot of workload. So yeah, I think
glad you said
that's a good thing.
work before load there. Thanks.
Yeah,
Don't want people getting the wrong ideas on the podcast.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah, PG.
Yeah, PG podcast, PG tips. Get the cup of tea out. But yeah, I think a very welcome addition, and we've seen admins flop as of recently, so it's nice to see one flourish.
Yeah, but I think we will touch on it a bit as well. I'm not going to say who, but we've had multiple people coming in for offers with admin roles, and it's nice to see people want to be involved. But I don't stress this enough with people when you sign up to be in any league racing, well, not just league racing, in any sort of Discord where there's a community of people that work as a unit, you have to fit into the unit, and it's difficult because my job's a bit more substantial because a lot rides on what I say and what I do and some of the decisions that have been made. But a lot of people need to understand that if you want to be a part of the family, and I do call it a family because we are a family here at IRL, but if you do want to be a part of that, you do have to dedicate some of your own time to that. I know it's not for everybody. Yeah, I'm busy. I work full time. I have technically 2 jobs that I work, and I still have time for IRL. So if I can do it, then anyone can do it. But if you've not got the passion and you've not got the love, don't put yourself forward for it because you're just not going to enjoy it. And the whole point of IRL is to have fun. So if you're not enjoying the job, if you're not enjoying the role, I wouldn't put your name forward for it. But if you're interested, if you're keen, and if you want to, join the family, then feel free. I don't think I'm that scary. I think I can be, but I don't think I am. And Louis and Edward and people like that, they're not very scary at all. So, they're the main people you're going to be messaging and talking to. And we're very easy and we support you. If you make a mistake, then that's absolutely fine. We're not going to criticize you. It's a hobby, essentially. So, we don't want to take it too seriously. But if you are interested, get in touch. Message myself, message even Alfie if you want to. Because you've probably seen him on the podcast, or message Edward or Louis and just get involved with us.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't ask, you don't get. That's what I was taught as a child. So yeah, it's one of those things. But there's always a place for someone in IRL. It is a place where you don't need to be rapid, and if you are too quick, we'll kick you. Because we can't have domination. We can't have domination. Back in the day, there was Matthew Older. If people have been around IRL for a long time, he really ruined the league for a while. So he had to get gone.
Poor Matthew. I don't necessarily agree with that, but yeah, I see where you're coming from, Alfie. Basically, what I was trying to say is that there's no point causing problems for yourself. If you're keen and you're eager and you want to join us, then feel free. But sometimes it's better to just be a driver because there's no responsibility apart from ticking availability, which even people struggle with that. Even people struggle with ticking a tick or a cross for every week. So if you are one of them people who are struggling with ticking or crossing for the availability, then please don't ask to be an admin because I see everything. And if I see you're not available for these races, but I see you want to be an admin, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good.
No, I mean, it literally takes 10 seconds. So imagine what you have to do if you have to spend 45 minutes a night, a couple hours a week doing things if you can't, spare 10 seconds to just tick a box or put a cross. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I've had all the excuses. It's funny to read through. We've had a few tonight, haven't we, Alfie? Pissed up the night before. Sorry, drunk the night before. I do apologise. Drunk the night before, and we can't facilitate the F1 league. Even though it's at 8 p.m. on a Sunday, they've been hungover for the whole of the Sunday.
They really, they let loose.
Or people saying that things change, which is very acceptable. But when you're telling me things change at 5 p.m. on a Sunday, that is very sporadic change. I don't know what's changing in your house between the hours of 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. on a Sunday, but that is the worst excuse I've heard, I think.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm about to say about the worst excuse I've ever heard not to race, but last game I was an admin in a different league and some guy said he couldn't race because it was raining. They didn't want his PlayStation to get wet. So I don't know what was going on there, whether he set up within his garden or something. I don't know, but that was a personal favourite of mine.
Yeah, I've got a good one. It was actually the opposite. So this person said they were unable to race due to wrist complications that they'd seen the doctor. They were able to race even though they had wrist complications, but they also had a football match that they couldn't attend to. So they couldn't play football, but they could turn up for a league race. But I don't know about you, but the one body part that I would say takes the most stress when league racing is probably your wrists. I don't know if you would agree with that, Alfie.
Yeah, well, I've had a wrist injury these past couple of months, and I can tell you, it does hurt. The wrist really is a strained part, especially if you're on wheel. It's a strained part, and also your ankle. They're probably the two that you don't want to race injured.
But what would you say if you were going into a football match? What would you say is the one body part that you wouldn't use in a football match?
Well, you might play in goal.
They weren't going to be a goalkeeper.
Probably your wrist. They have to hand the throw into someone else.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite funny that 90 minutes of football, unable, but 90 minutes of league racing. I know it's not 90 minutes, probably an hour of league racing. They were up for that. So that's my story to tell. I'm just thinking, we've got one topic to go through really, but I was really going to discuss my Chinese because I've just had some spring rolls brought upstairs, and I've just got to say this on pod. No, honestly, I didn't even order this. This is a surprise, which is always the best sort of takeaway, right? I've been, I had my healthy, dinner tonight. I had my healthy tea, and I've just been brought a box of spring rolls, and I tell you what, they are the best spring rolls I've had in a long time. I just thought I'd let you know.
I'm very happy about that. On the topic of food, McDonald's has been announced being built near my house, so I'm ready. I am ready to start devouring Big Macs left and right.
What is it like? Directly next to the house, or
literally not even 2 minutes, like a 90-second drive.
That is sensational. Whoever's designed that, I think, deserves an award.
Yeah, they're building a complex with a McDonald's, a Starbucks, and a Screwfix. A very weird trio. You'd think maybe a Costa or something, but no, Screwfix got themselves in there. So,
I was going to say, well, maybe the Screwfix workers get a bit tired, midway through the day. They want to chow down on a Big Mac. Now, I think it's very intelligent from Screwfix.
Screwfix is like a handyman Argos,
Yeah.
Is that what I've never actually been in the Screwfix, so that's how I picture it. You just kind of go in there, look through the Screwfix catalogue and order your tools.
Well, no, there's actually people that work there, which is a surprise to me because, there was a new, recently built one where I live, and I walked in there for funny enough, a screwdriver part. That is the place to go. I know, crazy. And there was two guys appeared out of nowhere, out of the wilderness from the back, and just stared at me and went, "So, mate, what do you want?" And I went, "Oh, have you got this part?" And they ended up saying no. So I went all the way to Screwfix, and they didn't even have the part I wanted. So
you think the one part they'd have, everything for it be a screwdriver.
Yeah, they recommended me. I don't live local to Nottingham, but they recommended me that the Nottingham branch had it. And I said, thanks for letting me know. Let me drive all the way to Nottingham, which is about an hour's drive for me. So yeah, no thanks.
At that point, get on Amazon.
I think I went to Argos, actually.
Oh, the competition.
Yeah, I thought to myself, Argos wouldn't deal with these or dabble. But then, cycling through the computer screen as it is now, not the catalogue, sad times. and I found it. So yeah,
All's well that ends well.
I know it's normally a happy ending with my stories. There's not any negativity anymore. We got rid of that a few years ago. You know, when we left PSGL, all the
Wow,
negativity
name
flooded out the body. No, I'm joking.
Let's hope Big C doesn't hear about this.
Oh no, Big C hears, and Big C agrees. Big C agrees at the minute. If people didn't know, me and Big C are like really close friends. We've known each other for like 7-8 years now, so we get on very well, which is very handy when it comes to running leagues. He's very a knowledgeable head when it comes to running leagues, so he does check up on IRL from now and then. He did recently join the Discord as well, Alfie. So
Yeah, I saw, and a very big head indeed.
yeah, he was having a bit of a nosy, seeing if everything's running up to spec.
Well, I guess that, if there's one person who wants to give you advice on how to run a league, it is Big C. He is the Mark Zuckerberg of the league agency.
Hopefully, I can be the Elon Musk and we can fight
In the Colosseum.
Get us in a ring. The the new look Connor. I won't explain to the people what his new look is because it's personal. But the new look Connor. No, I imagine it's quite intimidating.
I haven't seen it myself, but yeah, I don't know if you have personally seen it, but I can imagine.
Well, I remember the cutout edit we did, and
yeah,
yeah, I imagine it looks very similar to that sort of thing. So, Big C, I'm sorry for everything I've said. You're very scary now. So you used to look really friendly. No, now you're terrifying. So please stay away. Thanks. But enough about all of the random stuff that we've talked about. We'll move on to our final 2 points, essentially, but it's merged into one. We'll start with PC. PCF1, I know you have a bit more knowledge on this, Alfie. Hopefully you've got it up on a device. The PCF1 official first race. What were your thoughts on it? Because I know you did tune in for it with Jess Games helping us out with the commentary, which is, thank you very much, Jess. You did a great job, and it's nice to have you on board for the limited amount of races that you are here, but it's phenomenal that we even got you on board, so thank you. But what did you think, Alfie?
Yeah, I think a very good first race. Probably expected. PC is a different beast compared to console nowadays. Once you ascend console levels, you kind of move over to PC, so you expect the standards and the overall pace to be quite superior, to be honest. And yeah, they put on a good show. Nothing from what I can remember. I did tune in. I don't think I watched the full race, but I was keeping an eye on the likes of Louis, a good friend of mine. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on how he was doing. Not the best race, P7, but he was against the best of the best. And yeah, Jack West coming home with pretty comfortable win, if I remember correctly. He led most of the race, and yeah, Red Bull 1-2, so good start to them. But I think an overall good first race. No major dirty driving that I remember. So and obviously Jess, a very well respected commentator in the scenes. I've spoke to her a few times about commentary. So yeah, I think there aren't that many people that could have done better.
No, exactly, and it's people like Jess that are a really good example to set when it comes into a role. We're lucky to have up two relations. I've got relations with both commentators, which is Jared or IRL Neon, and then Jess Games as well. It's nice to have the connection with both of them where you can have a chat. We don't just sit there and just say, right, we're commentating now. Okay, do you know what I mean? It's very fluid. It's not robotic between the two, and it's nice to build relationships, build friendships with people, and enjoy ourselves. Jess didn't have to help us out at all. She could have left us in the dust, really, but the fact that she's even offered to help us out for a couple of races is just fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she does with round 2 as well. Her graphics and overlays are welcome. We are in the process of building graphics, but obviously it comes out of my pocket, so maybe when I get a bit more funding, I might splash out on a bit more graphics. But at the moment, when we're a free organisation, we're doing well with what we've got. But I do want to bring all this to IRL, and I do want to, dip my finger in the pocket a bit to offer more to the league. But at the moment, we're just enjoying the free spell. We're really riding high on the PCF one. Like you say, we've got some really big names, quality drivers who I never expected we could even attract. And it's been really good for them. It's a competitive scene, but it's also a practice scene as well for them. It gives them more data, more analysis, more time to adapt to a game, and it's more of a simulation. So it gives them the chance to race in racing sim with different setups and see how it works for them. Obviously, Red Bull succeeded, which was brilliant, but some standout performances really were abundant across the grid. There was only a few drivers that I'd probably say missed the mark a bit, maybe on strategy, or missed the mark in terms of pace. They just weren't quite up to snuff yet. But no, it was a very, very good race. I managed to watch the full thing, and I mean, I'm looking forward to round 2, which is in a couple of days. So
Yeah, I think getting the likes of Jack Weston there is very good. I think he's in PSL F2, I believe.
yeah.
And Liam Parnell as well obviously works with Red Bull, more known for his setup work. He is like a god when it comes to setups. He's not really known for actually racing, but obviously he has got the skills to race against the best as well. So it's always good to see those sorts of people, and I think it can only go up. And the only limitation with PC, as you said, is people will only really race if it's benefiting them for, you'd say, the big 2 leagues, PSL and WR. People literally like to just bang it out every week, so we kind of have to follow one of their calendars to get people to race, which is the only limitation. But I mean, we don't really mind it if we just want to give people a place to race, and that's what it allows us to do. So I don't think we're too bothered about that.
Yeah, no, well said, well said. I think that sums it up quite well. There is a market, which is where IRL sort of rested in terms of having fun and enjoying an experience where we can connect people. And I don't want to be like PSGL before people, say to me, are you going to get, loads of leagues in? We're going to start doing esports. Esports may be a thing, but it's not on my agenda because I think there is such a great scene for people to just enjoy racing, and that's what we're here for. We're not just strictly F1, or we won't be soon anyway. That wasn't the goal. We won't strictly be cars. We can also do bike racing. And to be honest with you, which is going to be my hidden announcement at the end of the stream, we won't strictly be racing on IRL, which is a massive thing that we want to implement. But I will talk about that right at the end of the stream because I just want to touch on PSF1. So we're midway through the season, nearly anyway. And I tell you what, I'm really I'm racing in these races, but I'm a bit more invested about what's happening in front. So for me, I had one of my best races of the season. I got a P5. I really enjoyed it. I drove quite well actually, stayed out of trouble, had some decent pace, and took every opportunity. Yourself obviously crashed out on the last couple of laps. I'll let you discuss that in a second, but it's really close up top, and the top guys were separated last race by, I think it was 4 drivers separated by 2 points, and now some drivers slipped up and others take advantage, and Lewis Curtis was that man.
Yeah, obviously, personally for yourself, you like to see the battle at the front. I'd like to be involved in it. I'm, obviously we all want to win, but yeah, I don't have the pace anymore. But I'd like to think I'd still do if a perfect weekend came my way, and it nearly did in Qatar P2. Yeah, these last 2 races haven't been perfect, and obviously in Spain, I made a silly mistake on this penultimate lap battling against Lewis Miller, cost myself a podium, so that's my title challenge over if it wasn't already. But yeah, now focus for myself anyway is to help try and win the drivers and to try and get the constructors, because there are a few very quick teams like the car we have on screen, the Williams of Little Blocks and Lewis Curtis, who is now our championship leader, I believe, and I will assume they're leading the constructors as well after Spain.
I'm not too sure. Edward did crash. Obviously, he had an incident with Cam, New Zealand Cam, which has been rectified in the steward's room. But that did take Edward out of the race, and it looked pretty promising, I think, from Edward. It looked at least a guaranteed podium. He was looking feisty. But sometimes it's just not your day. And to be fair to Cam, I don't think he did much wrong in terms of his positioning of his car, but it's a very ambitious move going for an overtake on the fast right, especially in the middle sector. And I think you're opening yourself up for disaster in that corner, especially if you're running side by side, and that's what happened. I wouldn't say it was malicious. I wouldn't say it was intentional. I think it was genuinely accidental, but unfortunately it was just putting the driver at risk, and it ended up ending Edward's race instead of just hindering it. So, but yeah, I think Spain's was a phenomenal race. Being a part of it, I was sweating. I really was sweating afterwards. I don't get how some of these guys do it on a consistent basis. I know some drivers tomorrow have like 2 races, and tonight they've got 2 races, and I struggle after 75% of one. So
Yeah, it's always nice to see a competitor in the wall driving past the free position, but you got to feel a little bit bad for Edward. He really hasn't had the season so far. He's lingering with me in the championship, which is never a good sign anymore. So yeah, hopefully at Hungary, which is tomorrow, the Monaco without the walls. So there's probably going to be a few more incidents tomorrow, but maybe the second Qatar. Qatar, I think it's gone down as a legendary race in IRL already. So clean and just a great league race. Hopefully we can copy that tomorrow at Hungary. But yeah, a few people will be looking to start a charge on the championship or continue their charge, and I think qualifying very important around obviously the chance of rain as well. So that's one to look out for. But I've seen a few TTs, and yes, the pace looks pretty close between people. Lewis Millen looking a little bit off the pace, which is a bit of a shock because he is always very quick coming into the weekend and then ruins it on the day. So it's kind of a bit of an uncharted territory for himself, actually being slow before the race.
yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge for him to mount a bit of a comeback. I think Qatar has really tailed off his or put a bit of a blip in his season, where he's been pretty strong pace wise in most races, and I'd probably consider him, like, you'd be stupid to not consider him for at least a podium in every single race by how he's been performing. But ever since Qatar, it seems that the fuel incident, that wasn't just his fault. A lot of people got caught out by it. Really has affected him mentally going into a few weekends, and I think, like yourself, you and him battling. It's Spain. No disrespect to yourself, Alfie, but I don't think he sees himself there for future races. I think he sees himself battling the likes of Curtis and the likes of Cam for the top spot, and both Cams, Toxic Tomorrow and New Zealand Cam. And even Fergs as well. He's a bit of a demon sometimes. And Tony comes out of nowhere and spawns up from the back. So
with his last grid qualifiers every week.
Yeah, he said he's going to stop doing them, but has carried on ever since. So
and, I just like to make a comparison. I think the Lewis Millen Championship charge is very. If anyone's watched it or did watch it, last season's MotoGP Championship, Quartararo on the Yamaha is Lewis Millen, a little bit off the pace, really pushing to try and, he has to get consistent results to be there. Meanwhile, your likes of Cameron Young, New Zealand Cam, and Lewis Curtis are the Bagnaia, maybe just a little bit quicker and overall, but, they slip up. They crash into each other, they make a mistake, they don't turn up to a race. So I think that's what's making this title battle very interesting. The consistency of Lewis Millen versus the outright pace of the likes of both Cams and Lewis Curtis. And, I think if Edward just had, or Little Blocks had just that little bit more consistency, he could have been there as well. But it looks like he's had his last dance for this title this season anyway.
It's hard to say. I think with a driver like Edward, I think he had a pretty miserable start to the season, and I think he'll be a bit disappointed with himself. I know he missed a race. I think it was Qatar that he missed, but Lewis Curtis missed that race as well, and I think being comparable on pace with the two drivers, the two Williams, I think he'd be very disappointed looking at the driver standings and thinking to himself, right, I'm that far off my teammate, because that's not a representative of his pace. but it is a representative of probably the mindset that they've taken into the races. And obviously, luck does play a part, but you make your own luck and you pick your battles. And I think, hesitancy or maybe over aggression has really cost Edward in a few races, especially this season, where he's just not been able to score a single point in some events, instead of building upon scoring maybe a few points if he's had a bit of a miserable afternoon. So I think a lot of learning for Edward to do. I think he's not out of it. I think anything can happen, but it's going to be very unlikely, I think, if he wanted to challenge for the top spot. So it's a bit of an interesting dynamic. You see, we've got obviously Cam, so Toxic Tomato, yourself, who are teammates. You've got Curtis and Edward, who are teammates. And I think you two, in terms of Edward and yourself, are in a similar dynamic where do you prioritise yourself or your teammate now? Because your teammates are in the prime position to win the championship, but at the same time, you do want to race for yourself. You don't want to be somebody's quote-unquote lapdog. So, it's a bit of a conflict of interests.
Yeah, and I mean, if anyone saw just a couple of seasons ago, they would have saw what I did to make sure my teammate won the Drivers' Championship at Canada, if anyone remembers that incident, when there was the famous title battle between Little Blocks and Brandon Glover that got very, very heated. But yeah, I think, it's about how committed are you to the badge. And I can't see Edward's pride allowing him to help Lewis Curtis. I don't know about you, but I see Edward as a very do-it-for-himself kind of guy. And I think, that could potentially hold them back, but I don't know. Edward is very fast. He has the potential to just score so many points that it could. I think he will definitely help in the constructors side of things, but I think on the drivers side of the drivers' championship side of things, he probably won't help Lewis Curtis. But definitely on the constructors side, he is the teammate to have.
Yeah, it's like I say, you've got pros and cons for every driver, and I think depending on the circumstance, I think Edward will help, but I think will Edward move over for a race win? No. But will Edward help Curtis in pursuit of more points? I think yes. So there's pros and cons to the both. I don't expect anybody in the league to be Rubens Barrichello-esque as a teammate. I think that's a bit extreme. I'm surprised he did it in real life, let alone on a game. Good old Rubens, because he was quite good on his day. But it is one of them things where you don't know where the season's going to take you. Curtis does need as many points as he can get, but at the same time, there's no point racing for somebody else. You are out there on your own, and you want to prove to people what you can do. You want to compete at the best in the top level, and you want to see if you can compete for prizes, and points win prizes. But I'd rather get a race win over the season, and if that unfortunately costs my teammate the title, then maybe that's just the way it happens. So it's a luck of the draw, really.
Yeah, I think. Well, a good example. I was in that position in Qatar. I could have backed off to get Cameron the win, or gunned it and tried to win the race, and I tried to win the race myself. And unfortunately, New Zealand Cam didn't run out of fuel, so he ended up winning the race, and Cameron ended up P3. So yeah, it just sometimes it can benefit you, sometimes it doesn't. And on that occasion, unfortunately for Cam, it didn't work for him. But yeah, I think we should take an interesting look to the next round, because we haven't had a track like Hungary yet this season, if I remember correctly. No real. I mean, it's not a street circuit; it is an actual circuit. There goes the phone. Yeah, it's a real not a street circuit. It's an actual circuit, very tight and twisty, no real straights. And I don't think we've had a track without really many straights. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had quite traditional circuits apart from Miami, but it still has long straights, Miami. So a very different track we're going to, a lot of different characteristics. So maybe it could favour different drivers. So a very interesting one to see, and difficult to overtake around there. Really, only one overtaking zone into turn one, and yeah, I'm expecting to see a little bit of wheel banging, and obviously in real life, the famous turn one dominoes that seems to happen every single year. Could we see something like that into turn one? There are a few dangers on the circuit, like myself. Could I potentially, ruffle a few feathers into turn one?
Yeah, I mean, Hungary does open itself up to incident, especially on the first couple of laps. Obviously, I'm not too sure what you mean. I imagine I know what you mean by traditional circuit, but then I saw the likes of Miami and Qatar lingering there in the middle of the season. So I was thinking to myself, very traditional them two. But I know what you're saying. They're very there's medium, there's high, there's low speed corners. You've got the sort of whole shebang. Whereas Hungary is predominantly and pretty much the majority of the track is medium to low speed. You're not gonna get a lot of high speed corners at Hungary. There's only a few where you're reaching the top speeds of the car, and that's probably what turn four. Would you say is probably the only one, and then
Turn
like I think
four,
it's 12 maybe in this just before the last sector, that one,
yeah, those two
that right
corners are the
hander.
main fast corners, but the bigger point I was trying to get at was the straights. There are really, apart from the main start finish straight, there are no straights. It's just
Yeah.
it's just corners. Not a lot of time for the wrists to rest. So and also it's 35 laps. One of the higher lap counts. I think the only track with more laps is Austria and Monaco. I'm
Mm.
pretty sure.
Canada, I think might be.
I think Canada 36 laps on a 50% race. I think somewhere around there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, a very high lap count. So maybe some different strategies, and safety cars probably going to be prominent. So yeah, I know on previous games the undercut is very big around Hungary. So yeah, and I've learnt this lesson in the last few races. Always pit when there's a safety car, because on this game the tyre difference is crazy. It's like
Yeah.
3 seconds a lap. The people will pit, be at the back of the train under a safety car. They'll be right behind you within 2 laps. So yeah, always make sure be on the right tyres at the right time, as Jenson Button famously said.
Yeah, I think a lot more than tires dictate a race, but maybe being on the right tires at the right time might not be the strategy at Hungary, Alf, because like you say, a lot of the tracks that we've had are very open, are very easy to overtake with some of the DRS zones, and Hungary isn't that. So maybe being at the back of the grid could actually hamper your progress, even with the fresh tires. And then obviously when somebody from the front does pit, they'll have the advantage then with open space and clean air. So Hungary is going to be a bit of a different one in terms of strategy, I think. But like you say, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be more of an endurance race. More can people keep their composure, their concentration, and can they be fast? I think that is the question around Hungary. The consistency of pace can vary because of the high intensity. So, I think Qatar was probably the easiest race of the season. It was everything was just flat. So it was very easy to sort of take a breather, have a break, I remember I had a drink down the straight. So, I was really enjoying myself at Qatar before I obviously ran out of fuel. But it's going to be a tale of two stories. It's going to be interesting in the next three races because we've got obviously Hungary, Monaco without the walls. Strategy is going to come into play. Track position is going to be pretty major, I think, for certain drivers on whether they get the best result they can. Then I think France goes back to what we've been having previously in the season. You know, very open, a lot of straights to get your teeth into, overtaking opportunities. There's a lot of DRS slipstreaming. That's going to be very, very effective, very easy to stay with drivers. But then you've got Silverstone, which is always a very, very technical track. Some drivers take to it very, very well, and some drivers flop. So that's going to be they're going to be a very interesting bracket of three, and then we do have a break obviously in between, which would be nice for the drivers just to have a Sunday off and enjoy themselves. But for the remainder of the season, I think we've done a really good job with picking the tracks. I think it's been refreshing, but it's also been there's loads of gems in this season.
Yeah, I mean, we both know an absolute little gem at Silverstone. Cameron Young, he'll be definitely the favourite to win that one. He loves Silverstone. Like I cannot comprehend to you how much that man loves Silverstone. So yeah, I think they're very interesting tracks. I'm a big fan of France. I don't think it gets enough love. What a track,
Mm.
amazing. But yeah, I think they're a very interesting selection. Quite mixed. Hungary kind of slow speed, then France very medium speed, and then Silverstone very very high speed and all about commitment. So a good test for the drivers over the next 3 rounds, and a good test for ourselves. Us old guys especially you. You know,
Wow.
can your brain keep up?
Thanks. 23, by the way, like the number on the car. So me calling me old. There's a lot older on the grid. You know, Tony is up there. Sondre is up there as well. So, you know, thanks. Appreciate it. But no, like you say, it's going to be an interesting bit of the season, and you know, judging by the points, Curtis does have a slight advantage over the likes of Toxic Tomato, Laggy TM, and New Zealand Cam now. That one result, you know, only one of his rivals scored, so Laggy TM was the only one to score in that race as well as Lewis Curtis. So he's managed to really, really bridge the gap because obviously Cam crashed out and then New Zealand Cam didn't score any points as well. So it's all in Curtis's hands. But I want to see how it stacks up in the midway point of the season, and then we'll really see what the drivers are made of, because the mental fortitude to come back is going to be immense. But anyway, we'll move on to our final topic, which was the hidden gem topic. And I just want to discuss quickly, we've got about 8 minutes before the stream ends. We are obviously called International Racing League. It's pretty self-explanatory what we do, and it's pretty easy to see, especially when you join the Discord, what we promote. But somewhere in the near future, we want to push gaming to the max. And when I talk about gaming, I don't just mean racing, I mean all forms of gaming. So we want to introduce to the server at some point, like I say, this is really early in alpha, as people would say, in terms of games and the production, but we really do want to push this to be a gaming league. So we are going to introduce the likes of RPGs, fighter games, competitive PvP and PvE experiences, and first-person shooters are going to be up there as well, third-person shooters, sandbox games, and we're going to try and make IRL massive. This is the goal for myself. I've discussed it with not many people, only a few, in regards to this, and I was making the decision with myself really to debate how far I really want to go with IRL, but I really do want to make this quite a good industry and a good company to sort of be a part of. And I mean, we're only in the early stages now. We're just getting to grips with the F1 sort of things, and we're really pushing it. But drivers are having fun. I've had so much good feedback from people, you know, private messages from drivers saying, you know, you're doing a great job, keep it up. I'm really enjoying the racing. Commentating's really good. I'm really invested and involved, and we just want to keep going. We want to build. We want to evolve. It's going to be a long process, but I'm here for it. So I hope you, Alfie, and all the guys listening and watching, and the guys participating, you can come along for the ride as well.
I look forward to joining the COD team.
Yeah, we can do some esports COD, get our own skin.
That's what I'll be looking out for.
On there as well. Yeah, no, that's the thing. We want to branch out because there's so many talented individuals in different fields. You know, I know everybody in the community at the moment has something to do with racing, but you know, my forte isn't in racing. It's never been in racing really. It's been in other sort of things like first-person shooters, and you know, I'm quite good at fighting games and stuff like that. Like, you know, Mortal Kombat. There could be a tournament series as well coming soon. So there's options, there's decisions, and there's opportunities, and that's what we want to push here at IRL. And I don't know if you've got any last words, Alfie, before we do close the stream, but that is our hidden gem news for episode 2. We'll keep you updated on everything that's happening in terms of PC, PS, the new league, which is the World Cup Series, that will be coming out, and more information will be on the Twitter and the Discord. And obviously more information in terms of growing the company IRL into being more of a gaming league is coming soon too. So I've been Lordy MK. I'll let Alfie finish off the stream for us with whatever you want to say for the last couple of minutes. And just thanks, guys. I really do appreciate the support.
Yeah, I think, well, obviously I wasn't aware of this news. That is the first time I've heard it as well. So my initial reactions are very exciting, and I guess watch this space and whatever we can get our fingers into, you know, get your fingers in all the pies. And I think it's very exciting. The success we've had in F1 in such a short period of time, or you've had in F1 in such a short period of time. Why not? You know, think big, shoot for the stars, land on the moon, or whatever the saying is.
No, yeah, no, I
What is this?
completely agree.
There's some saying like that. So I think, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Hashtag that. Why not?
yeah, that's quite a good slogan. I was thinking of from Toy Story where it's like, I'm not aiming for the truck. That's what I was thinking
I'm not
of.
aiming for
So,
the truck.
yeah, exactly. So that's not the right quote. I know you weren't trying to say that, but that's what I was thinking of. But no, it's things like this as well, like the commentary and the podcast that people just enjoy. I really do enjoy doing this podcast with you, Alfie, and hopefully we can sort of build it into something quite big when it gets further down the line. But no, like you say, why not, eh? Why not? What have we got to lose? Nothing.
Exactly.
So I'm enjoying it, and I hope people are enjoying it as well.
Yeah. I think that brings us to a nice conclusion.
Yeah.
So,
Episode
yeah.
2 done. Episode 3 will be next week. If Alfie can remember, that we do have it. Oh, it didn't happen because you had a
Oh,
cold, you were ill, yeah, all that
no,
stuff.
I was on death's door.
Well, it's nice to see that you've come through death's door and you're not dead. So,
I
but
know,
yeah,
no,
no,
thank you for the well wishes.
yeah, it's all right, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's been the podcast. It's episode 2 of the Aloha. Is it Aloha?
Aloha.
Aloha. Yeah, sorry. I always say Alola. I don't know where that's from. Aloha IRL podcast. I've been Lordy MK. That's been Alfie Ollie. We will see you next week at 8:30 p.m. for episode 3.
Au revoir.